you did everything the world asked of you. You followed the rules, secured the career, and played your expected role with precision. Yet, despite checking every box, a hollow silence has begun to settle in. It starts as a quiet dissociation, a feeling of watching your own life from the outside. Eventually, a crack forms between who you are and the mask you wear to survive. You feel less like a participant in your life and more like an observer of a performance that no longer interests you. Modern society typically classifies this state as a failure of the individual. It gets labeled as a stress disorder or a chemical imbalance, something to be managed with distractions, a new prescription, or a brief vacation to reset the system. This brand of normality functions as a sophisticated trap. It offers the safety of social approval in exchange for your spontaneity and truth. To fit in, you have slowly sacrificed the very parts of yourself that make you feel alive. Consider the possibility that this profound suffering is an urgent alarm bell rather than a glitch in your biology. The Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung viewed these existential crises as a radical turning point for the human psyche. Jung argued that the soul eventually reaches a point where it refuses to live under a false mask. He called this the process of individuation, a psychic demand to shed your social roles and integrate your hidden, authentic self. This level of despair serves as psychological evidence that you have outgrown your current structure. You have reached the stage where you are finally ready to awaken. Early in life, we all build a persona. This is the survival mask we wear to please others and navigate society. It's a necessary tool for childhood, but it's never intended to be the whole self. This persona becomes a rigid outer shell, eventually compressing your inner core, the true self. When you ignore the signs of inauthenticity, the unconscious forces a rupture. It intentionally shatters the shell that has become a prison, allowing the core to breathe. This emotional collapse marks the necessary destruction of a structure that has reached its absolute limit. Once the rational mind exhausts its answers, the unconscious takes charge. It begins communicating through a symbolic intelligence that goes beyond logic. When the ego is desperate for a way out, the psyche begins scanning your environment, looking for specific keys to escape its internal prison. This creates synchronicity, moments where your inner state suddenly aligns with an external sign, like a book falling off a shelf or a video appearing exactly when you need it. However, as soon as the path forward becomes clear, the ego experiences a massive internal pushback. Jung described this resistance as the encounter with the inner dragon. This dragon embodies the ego's deepest fears, the shame of past failures, and the terrifying prospect of losing the safe, predictable life you've built. Encountering this resistance signals that you have arrived at the true boundary of your old life. It marks the precise point where transformation becomes possible. You must face the reality that no external force is coming to rescue you. No guru, therapist, or change in your career will solve this crisis for you. Waiting for a savior is a remnant of a childhood archetype, a hope that someone else will provide the protection and direction you lack. Modern systems encourage this passivity because dependent people are easier to control and monetize. True growth requires radical responsibility. You have to take solitary ownership of your journey, acknowledging that your healing depends entirely on your own forward momentum. Outsourcing your freedom to external circumstances only ensures you remain trapped within the narrative someone else wrote for you. That heavy dread marking your path serves as a guide. It points directly toward the parts of yourself you have been most afraid to touch. Individuation requires a psychic leap. You must abandon the false guarantees of your current life to step into the absolute unknown of your authentic self. Beyond this threshold lies a life of presence and meaning, one that is raw, unanesthetized, and entirely your own. The signs have already appeared. The choice is yours. Stop waiting for fear to vanish and decide to finally live.